Hi, everyone. This is Scott Brandwine, the SWAN Assistant Director, and I am going to be your Master of Ceremonies for the January Fireside Chat. We haven't had one of these since November. We decided to forego it in December due to them typically being pretty underattended because everyone's on vacation. So with that said, what we're going to get into today is a sort of short agenda about some of the projects that took place over the month of December, which are sort of maintenance related projects. NCOA, National Change of Address, of course, is started and ended, and also the update to the inactive patron reports, which is still in the process of kind of happening. And then, just in the interest of it being the new year, Happy New Year, everyone, by the way, we will be talking about just some of the things we're looking at in this year that'll be the most sort of impactful to all of you. And then Tara will give her usual Aspen Lita update. We have got a couple little announcements related to meetings. And then, and I don't know why it's not on this agenda, I completely missed that. Our 2023 sort of trivia overview. We used to do these in our December meetings. It's just some kind of interesting facts about circulation data for last year and some of the more popular titles. And so just a little cute thing to end with. So to start, um, NCOA, the National Change of Address processing took place in December and completed on January 2nd. We did the final sort of upload of all the updated patron addresses. So there were 32,581 updated addresses, which accounts for 4% of the patron database, which is the same percentage we had last year, the same percentage as the year before. So it's pretty much what we expected. And so, as always, we have kind of that same list of recommendations for you to do for follow-up on our National Change of Address documentation page. So if you haven't done so already, feel free to take a look at that. It's just, I mean, the big ones are kind of listed here, but you can get a little more information on that page and in the reports. We recommend long inactive patrons who've left your service area. It might be good to send in a request to SWAN to purge some of those patrons rather than waiting for the the 7-year purge that's going to be taking place. Updating patrons who've moved locally within your service area. You might want to just verify addresses as those people come in. And of course, reviewing patrons, you get a list of patrons who have moved to your service area who were already in SWAN at another library. If you wanted to reach out and talk about, getting them a card at your library. So the one thing that's different this year is that our reports are updated, and instead of running, if you run any of those reports in the past, you would see sort of the national change of address, the users that were changed that year, 2022, 2021, and they were all sort of separated out. We decided to bring them together for two reasons. If you want to do national change of address maintenance, the 2022, 2021, et cetera, national change of address updates are still relevant. If those are still in the system, they still might need that attention. So, just in the interest of keeping those to the fore and under your radar, that is simpler. They'll all be in one place. And also, so we don't have to create a new set of reports every year. The reports that we've created will now be, persistent. And so they'll always be the same links, always in the same place. Then it's just easier for us, hopefully easier for you. And most of the reports, if you wanted to filter them just to see the most recent data, in a lot of cases, that is very possible, either directly in Blue Cloud or by, exporting them into Excel and doing whatever magic you wanted to do there. So if you have any questions about those reports or anything, feel free to send in a ticket and to review that documentation. There's a link you can't click right on the screen here, but it's also searchable through the support site, and maybe somebody from SWAN will be kind enough to put it in the chat for us while we're sitting here. Up next, the patron purge. I'm going to be turning it over to Dave to talk about this.
Hello, everyone. This is Dave Payson, SWAN Systems Administrator. This should be starting to feel fairly routine at this point, but we automatically purge public library patron records that have been inactive for a number of years on the 15th of every month. And we've been annually shortening that time span. And so in February, we'll be moving from 8 years of inactivity to 7 years of inactivity. which will result in an uptick in the number of patron records that get removed. And we can look at the report that you receive on the next slide. The inactive patron reports, those have been updated as well to reflect this change. As you can see, we remove patron records if they owe less than $100. And of course, any circulation activity that's on there will prevent their removal as well. For those of you who want to keep certain records around for any reason, you can update that last activity date by making a change to the patron's address and saving it. Otherwise, 7 years is a pretty long time, and we like to keep the database clean. So I think next is projects for 2024.
Yeah. And just one more note on the inactive patron report. We have been, as you know, shortening that time on a yearly basis from what used to be 10 years, and the ultimate goal is to purge patrons after 5 years. So next year at this time, we're going to take that jump. It's the 2-year jump to that final step in the process, which was always the plan. So just bear in mind that we'll finally be there, and then the patron purge will remain consistent, hopefully, from there on forward. So yeah, 2024 projects. These are all things that you've probably heard through the grapevine, especially if you've listened in at quarterlies or some of our other meetings. But message list communications is something that we had put on hold through December to start looking at in earnest this year, and we have started doing that. This is the product that is part of the MessageBee suite that allows you to create lists of patron emails either through their voluntary sign up or dynamic lists based on user data like expiration dates, etc., to then send out communications to your patrons on various, whatever that is, be it a newsletter or an event update or a notification that they're up for expiration in the coming months. So we are still poking through this tool. It's pretty cool. We hope to give you a demo of it maybe in late February after we've worked out some, just really gotten comfortable with it. And then to do a sort of launch, which would involve libraries opting into using the tool, which would come at a cost billed to your library. So it's just something that we're sort of making available, whether you want to use it or remain with your existing communication tools, totally up to you. But it will be something that is at your disposal if you wish. And I will say it's pretty nice. It's pretty simple and easy to use, which is kind of a double-edged sword. It is simple. On the other hand, it may be too rudimentary for your needs, depending on what your existing kind of marketing plan is. So yeah, hopefully we'll get those demos out to you, and you'll see whether it's a good fit for you. And then I'm going to have Crystal come on and talk about online learning.
Hi, everyone. We have seen some stats for the 2023 year. So far, we have 78 out of our 100 libraries have accounts. That's a total of 530 users. And just for the year of 2023, 282 of those users were created in that year. Our top courses, this is by completion. So the top completed courses are Circulation Basics, Patron Management, Searching and Workflows, and Patron Account Blocks and Notes. We do have some upcoming development this year in 2024. We are doing an investigation of single sign-on and what that will entail and what that would mean for then developing roles. So differentiating between these roles for managers and for staff, and with that would allow managers to possibly assign staff some courses and just be able to make sure that those courses were completed. And we're also looking into creating learning pathways. So what that will do is basically create like a package of courses, if you will. So this year, Claudia will be working on acquisitions trainings with Sam, and they will be creating these courses, and their hope would be to package them all together. And so if you only wanted to take those courses, you could just click on that learning pathway and it would take you down in chronological order of those courses. We're thinking of doing something very similar with the Holds courses that we have and the one that I'm also developing this year. This was something that we liked the idea of initially when we were looking into a learning management system. But it is something that you have to like develop more courses to kind of really see if it'll work. So we're kind of at that tipping point where we will have some great content to develop these learning paths. So that's something to look forward to this upcoming year. Thank you.
Great. Thanks, Crystal. And then up next, you've also probably heard we are investigating. This is more of an internal thing, but it will have an effect on our users. We're looking at a new ticketing system to replace the current one we're using, which is not really meeting our needs anymore. We've probably mentioned this, but we are down to 3 final candidates in terms of the platform: Zendesk, Zoho Desk, and Freshdesk. I don't know if anybody is familiar with those platforms for your current or throughout your career. They're 3 of the heavy hitters on the market. I would say. I mean, I had heard of them all before we started this. I don't know what that means, but they're all viable at this point. I think we'd be doing well with any of them. But some of the things that we're really prioritizing are the ability to possibly incorporate our documentation into that platform and then have it sort of pushed to folks when they are either creating a ticket or to SWAN staff when we're answering a ticket, so that we can recommend the things quickly, easily, and maybe if we're coming to somebody who's filling out a ticket form and wanting to ask a question, maybe there is documentation for it, and it would save them the trouble of having to wait for a response from us if the information happens to be already in there. The user portals are all a little more robust than we currently have available for you. So they've all got these sort of portals where you can see, fill out a ticket, get to your documentation. If there's a forum integration, you can get to the forums. You can see your own tickets, your organization's tickets, all of that. And then for us internally, analytics is actually good. Analytics is one of the reasons we're looking for a new platform to get an understanding of where our attention is focused and where we could better beef up be it documentation or training options based on the questions we're getting, and also user stories, which is just getting an at a glance look of tickets that any library has put forward to us, any particular users put forward to us, to kind of identify pain points from that perspective. So we're very excited about this, but we are taking the evaluation very, very slowly because we just want to make sure we get it right. So we're hoping to have a selection made and to start implementing when the weather gets warmer. So just keep an eye out for that. And if there is once we do get this sort of set up and ready, we'll have trainings available for you to understand how to interact with the new ticketing system. One of the other things, though, so don't worry, is that there will always be that ability to just email help@swanlibraries.net and have that ticket created. So this is not going to be a mandatory project for you to train your staff on a new interface. They'll still be able to get in touch with us and hear from us. But if you are interested in sort of our ticketing portal and all of that, that will be available. And then last, single sign-on. Aaron's gonna join us. Aaron Sievers.
Hey, yeah, hi everyone. This is Aaron Sievers, another systems administrator here at SWAN. Just wanted to talk about a project we're really excited about, which is single sign-on. Basically, not to go into like the full-on definition, unless you'd like it, it's there on the screen. But chances are you've probably already used a single sign-on service if you've ever used sign on with Google or sign on with Facebook or Microsoft. That's essentially kind of what we are looking at as a way of kind of streamlining the experience for SWAN members and also for ourselves. This kind of came about because we just realized we've got too many logins and we're juggling too many credentials, from the forums to the, like we mentioned, the online learning, to also the ticketing system and others. We would like to kind of get all of that under one account. And what better account to use than our L2 accounts, which we all are already using and need on a regular basis. So we've spoken with Rails, and we've been working back and forth with them, and some big single sign-on vendors, talking with them to kind of hash out what this project would actually do, and we're super excited about it. So we're hoping to make some real progress in 2024. And then obviously going forward, since this is kind of a platform that all of these accounts tie into, as we move forward and introduce new services, they could be tied in as well using their extensible framework. So definitely keep your ears out for more information on single sign-on.
Thanks. Yeah, and one more thing to mention in terms of, projects coming up. I actually deleted the slide for this, and I shouldn't have. We are working on putting together a platform for you to get in touch with us and set up a consultation sort of on the fly, and get on our calendars to ask us questions about any number of topics, and just get someone from SWAN staff on the phone. Excuse me, on the line. It's not technically the phone, but it's through Zoom. Zoom Scheduler is the product we're going to be using. And we mentioned this in the past, I think in our November meeting, because it is intended to be the replacement for our office hours, which we mostly pulled back this year due to low attendance. And we were going to launch it today. We were going to, have a little. That's why I deleted the slide, though, is because it turns out we have a few more kinks to work out. We just got to, smooth out kind of our setup there. But hopefully in the coming weeks, we'll be able to announce this. And it's possible some of you have already seen it. A couple of our staff have already started using the tool to set up individual consultations for a couple project-based things that we're doing. So maybe you've already seen that. But the idea is that you would be able to say, hey, I've got a question about, the cataloging, and it's sort of more complicated than a ticket, and I just want to get somebody from Bib Services on the line. You can go into this scheduler, and it'll give you time slots to choose from for when our staff is available, and it is connected to our internal calendars. So you can say, hey, next Tuesday, 3:30 p.m. Perfect. Just click that button. It'll create a Zoom event on somebody's calendar here who can answer your question, and then you can have that consultation and do whatever you need to do. So it's pretty cool, and hopefully will be useful to you. So we'll let you know when that's all ready. Tara, for our Aspen update, do you want to jump in?
I just want to point out some new features available in LIDA, which is also known as the SWAN Libraries Plus app. We've had this is a pretty heavy hitting release. We had a link added for fines payments, so your users can now pay fines from the app. We have the tool available, or the ability now to add links to your library website. This is going to be available through your library system settings. And you can also, your users will now have their preferred hold pickup location automatically selected, so they don't have to pick where they want to pick up their holds every time. And then there's some improvements to the notifications prompts. I'll be very blunt, we would like to see some more improvements to those notifications, but at least now we were kind of seeing people get aggressively prompted to update those settings and opt in. So now if they choose not to opt in, they won't continue to be prompted to just make those settings. And I think there's one more slide. Yeah, I just wanted to show you what it will look like if you add menu links to your LIDA instance. You do this the exact same place that you would add menu links in your Aspen Discovery web catalog. But there's just an extra little setting that you can select to either show the link on just your Aspen Discovery, only on Aspen LIDA, or on both. So this gives you kind of a little sense of what that will look like. You can see here, there's in this example, there's a link to events. So I know that was a popular thing that libraries wanted to do, was be able to link to their events calendar. And this is all going to be viewable under the More screen of the app. So there's a little redesign of that screen and the ability to add some extra stuff there for your patron. And that's all I had.
Thank you. So trainings and upcoming meetings, these are gonna be mostly, oh no, first of all, to Aaron for the cow.
Hi, everyone. We're in the process of getting SWAN's budget and membership fees ready for next year. Next year for SWAN and for you all means July 1st. So we have a committee of the whole meeting scheduled next week. It's virtual. I ask if you're going to attend, please register in advance. This is a registration event. I've included that in the newsletter and sent out a SwanCom last week. There are some other additional aspects of the committee of the whole meeting. We'll also go over the EBSCO Year 5 renewal. That's the SWAN group purchase that public libraries participate in. We'll be talking about that and what that renewal looks like for those libraries. And then we conclude the budget process at an in-person meeting Thursday, March 7th at the Oak Brook Public Library. And this is where we will have a budget vote. We will make an effort to live stream that event. We had a little technical issue for the first time in probably like 5 years of hosting at Oak Brook at the last meeting. That was just something I don't think is going to occur again, but I do encourage in-person attendance for this one. At least if you're going to come to one as a library director or representative of the library, come to this meeting in person and we'll have the budget vote. And again, another presentation where we can answer any questions that you have.
All right, thanks. And now this slide and another one later are going to look familiar. They're the same from November. Just a reminder that our 2024 user group governance and office hours meetings are available on L2 and the SWAN Support site. And so registration is through Zoom this year exclusively. For simplicity's sake, and also because it gives you these nice little screens like you have on the right here, where you can register for multiple instances of a single meeting at once, which is very lovely. And we also are planning a meeting for cataloging libraries. So I want to introduce or bring on Cynthia Romanowski for a note about that.
Good morning, everyone. So I just want to, Scott, did you stop sharing your screen? Because I think it popped off my thing, sorry.
Oh.
But anyways, I just want to just do a gentle reminder of the survey that I had sent out last week. And this is just for cataloging libraries. So don't freak out if you didn't see the email or not. This was a very targeted survey. So it is for an in-person meeting. This was a request by some of our cataloging library members. They would really like us to have an in-person meeting. So our goal is to try to get at least a representative from each of our cataloging libraries. So we have 19 cataloging libraries. So hopefully we can get all 19 libraries there. What I ask is that some agenda items get put on there because I don't always want it to come from us at SWAN. This is really for cataloging libraries to come and talk about some stuff that we can get standardized. The survey is due February 9th. So please try to get to an opportunity to fill out that survey. We have the majority of our libraries. So thank you to those who have responded to the survey already. I appreciate it. So you do have another week, but please try to respond. I will send out an email for those who are not on this call as well to everybody. So that will come out Friday. The other update I wanted to give for our cataloging libraries is Mark Listener. We have 15 libraries set up already. One is scheduled to set up in February. So I'm hoping that we get more libraries to get set up on Mark Listener. It at minimum has taken 15 minutes to do. So if you are hesitant to set up Mark Listener for your cataloging library, it is really quick, easy. We just give you your username and password. We set up the file path and we test it out, and that's all that has to happen. And at most it's been 15 minutes. It can get longer if you have additional questions about, you know, like maybe workflows or anything, but at minimum it's been 15 minutes. So I don't want people to think that, oh, it's going to be so long. It really isn't. So please contact me. If you still have the original reminder email or the original email, I do have a link to the Zoom scheduler that Scott had already mentioned, that is going directly to my calendar. Claudia has been joining us on the call too. So if you have cataloging questions as we're setting up Listener and how this impacts cataloging and workflows, the two of us are on that call together. So these are just some reminders. I would like to have the Mark Listener set up by June 2024. So thank you all so much for those who have answered the survey and have come up to Mark Listener. I hope you all are enjoying Mark Listener as much as we do.
All right. I see a question in the chat as well. Are there plans for in-person meetings in 2024? In-person circulation group meetings were always well attended. And so no, our meetings currently are, we have them all sort of planned out for the year, and we did keep them all online through Zoom at the moment. If there were going to be in-person meetings, that's sort of at the discretion of chairs for those meetings. It's not outside of the realm of possibility. So if that's something you are interested in for a specific group, I would encourage you, especially if you like, for example, circulation, to attend those circulation groups, talk to the chairs of the circulation groups, and or whatever group it is, I should say, and maybe that's something that we can plan in the future if there's enough interest. But thanks for asking that. And then, oh yeah, just back to the sort of the meeting topic. These are the list of the meetings that we have for next year. Again, all available on L2 or through the support site for your perusal. 95 events in total, which is kind of a lot. So yeah, so next is our little conclusion, our little circulation trivia for 2023. So I'm just going to bring you through this real quick. We've got some top 10 lists, basically. So there's already an error. I see this is supposed to be based on 2023 checkouts. I did import some of the slides from last year. The most popular juvenile author in SWAN in the past year, no surprise, once again, is Mo Willems, who also was the most popular last year and possibly the year before. I don't actually recall. But people love these books. And Dav Pilkey, David, and Jeff Kinney also, or Aaron Blabby. These are, like, I guess, the heavy hitters this year, all going strong still. But the others, are here. Mary Pope Osborne, Lincoln Pierce. I was pleased to see Dr. Seuss and Eric Carle, some of the classics from my childhood. So classic, in fact, that I didn't feel the need to give any examples of titles from their work, because we all know who they are. So yeah, I just thought it was interesting there. And then maybe somebody will supplant Mo Willems in the future. But in terms of the juvenile books circulated, all of the top books that circulated for children are part of a series, and it was really messing up the statistics, to be honest, because Blue Cloud Analytics was combining those series regardless of, even if they were individual titles. So I was having trouble getting circulation of individual titles this year. What I did get was the series list. So this is it, and it's, again, the usual heavy hitters. Diary of a Wimpy Kid is on there. The Paw Patrol books, The Babysitter's Little Sister, and Club, I think, have to do with the graphic novels that have been coming out of late. Big Nate, Hilo, I don't know how to say that, Baby Mouse. I'm not personally familiar with any of these things. I do not have children, but this is it. Most popular adult book titles. based on checkouts, and this is adult fiction. Are here Colleen Hoover, once again, getting a lot of representation. It starts with us, it also ends with us, and Verity, all making the top 10 list this year, though none of them winning. It starts with us, I believe, is the oldest book on this list. It was from 2018. And other than that, Demon Copperhead did win the Pulitzer Prize, so I don't know if that's worth reading, but that's kind of the one that I sort of took from this is to put onto my list. But then the number one top adult book from this year was This Lessons in Chemistry by Bonnie Garmus. So again, not one that I've read, but something you're probably familiar with if you're working a desk. Up to next is adult nonfiction. And it looks like Lucas may have anticipated our winner here. And I put this background down about 5 minutes before this meeting, and I realized now it is very hard to look at, so I apologize for that. Again, Michelle Obama, Killers of the Flower Moon came back after a few years off the top 10 because of the movie, so I chose the movie tie-in cover there. Viola Davis was on this list last year. And David Grand's The Wager, he's also the author of Killers of the Flower Moon, made it. He looks like he's getting some attention in general. So we've got our number one book, however, is, as predicted by Lucas, Spare, Prince Harry's little memoir. Whatever you think of him, positive or negative, it's he's the one. Crying in H Mart, Finding Me were the two that were also on the list last year and have had some staying power. So yeah, movies, most popular movie throughout this year. Less children's representation than there was last year. John Wick made my dad happy because that's his absolute favorite. Everything Everywhere All at Once, again, an amazing film if you haven't seen it. But this is the list. But the number one film from this past year was the new Top Gun film, Maverick. So yeah, I don't know how I feel about that, but that is the way it went. So lastly, in terms of holds, usually the hold, again, I forgot to update the subtitle on this slide. The holds that were placed, the most popular book, like by holds, is not often the most popular book that's actually circulated, but this year it did happen to work out that way, and This Lessons in Chemistry just sort of blew everyone else away. And then the rest of this list is going to be familiar from the previous slides for the most part. There's a couple of exceptions here. So yeah, it's always just sort of strange to me why holds and circulations can vary a lot, but it's just the way it goes. And then in terms of the number of holds and the number of circulations from this last year, we did have 2.2 million holds, up from the previous year, and 7.6 total circulations, which includes at the desk circulations and renewals. It does not include auto renewals. This is circulation transactions that were sort of deliberate. It also excludes, of course, all of our circulations to generic users and all of that. So this is the number of times that librarians have scanned a barcode to check something out. So that's a pretty good number there. And then if we do have these reports available to you, if you are curious about some local stats, I mean, I know it's sort of the off season at this point, but SWAN reports under items, year in review. We call them year in review reports. You can actually get these reports by putting in dates for any date range. So if this is something that you're curious to see for your own library on a monthly basis, on a bi-yearly basis, whatever it is, these are available to you to look at. So if you're curious, feel free. And then in terms of searching in the catalog, Aspen, we've got keyword searches, and these never line up with things that are circulating. It's always kind of funny to me, except for Colleen Hoover here, of course, and Bluey. But keyword searches in 2023, Tara put these together based on our Aspen statistics. I don't know what all of these refer to, but the top search for the last year was baseball, which was kind of a shocker. Again, Colleen Hoover was our winner last year, so baseball. I'm not certain what sort of prompted this, but it is the way. And so thanks. That's all I've got for you. We just thought that was sort of cute. And Rebecca mentioned that sometimes patrons place holds on multiple versions of the same title, but only check it out once, and that is fairly true, and that may account for a lot of the disparity between the circulation and the holds themselves. But our next fireside is February 27th. And I chose this picture to represent leap year. I typed in bunny, and this was the best authentic bunny that I could find to share with you to celebrate leap year, which will be the same week as fireside. But at this point, I do want to turn it over. I didn't see anything come up in the chat in terms of questions, but if you have anything, please feel free to put it in there. Or at this point, you can go ahead and unmute and just ask a question aloud if you like. Helen mentioned that baseball is test search term. That is a lot of testing if it's that well skewed. But I'm not hearing anything questions, so I'm going to turn off the recording, and then we can still take some questions after the recording is off, if you want to. Oh my gosh, I can't get to the button. Goodbye, everybody. Thank you.